Woolworths is a combination of a food and a clothing retailer. It was founded in Cape Town in 1931 by Max Sonnenberg and modelled on the Marks and Spencers of the UK. It has a market cap of 53 billion rand, a price to earnings ratio of 24 and a dividend yield of 3.2%. Paul, what do you make of Woolworths right now?
Well, this has been an even bigger success. I mean, look at that share chart. It's got an even steeper climb at the end there compared to ShopRite. Look, this is, as you say, they're slightly different insofar as they're in the homewares and they're also in clothing. And we know what they've been doing with Country Road and Treneries, and recently they bought Witchery and so on and so forth. They've also got the business in Australia. The reason I like Woolies is the organic food and the model, which is the sort of whole foods, top end, high margin, preserve the cold chain kind of food stuff. I'm not as enamored with the clothing, where I think they're a bit of an also-ran. But I mean, I stood here 2 months ago when we last considered these stocks and said that I didn't think Woolies was hot. I said it was not hot because I didn't like the fact that, you know, Ian Moyer, the CEO, comes from that Australian Country Road business, had gone off and paid R1 billion to buy more retail exposure in Australia. But the share price has moved from, I don't know, whatever it was there, like 45 up to like 65. So I'm obviously the idiot.
So what do you think of that food and clothing operations that Woolworths has? Like Paul was saying, that he doesn't necessarily like the clothing element.
Well, I think if you take a weakening rand into perspective, you know, maybe that's a bit more difficult to keep their margins up on the clothing side. So maybe if we have a consistently weak rand, maybe that will cause a bit of a problem for them. Now on the food side, you know, they've got high margin food business. You know, they're starting to grow. They're starting to get only food supermarkets going. So I think their first one was in William Nicol in Johannesburg, and so they're just having a pure supermarket without any clothes. So you can see that they're actually shifting some of their strategy just to food as well, and it's high end and good margin. So I still like them. It's starting to get a bit pricey here, but at least you're still getting 3.7 dividend yield, and you know, people are still looking for yield, foreigners especially.
So where to from here for Woolworths?
I would like to buy it maybe on a pullback only. I think at 66 rand it's starting to get a little bit expensive. Maybe any small pullback in the market and you could probably re-enter.
Paul, when would you be re-entering?
Look, I'm happy to buy them now at current levels, but I'd prefer to see more of that development that Rob's talking about. Because I was recently in Maputo, where I went to the Woolworths, which was, you know, in a sort of a business park. So in amongst this teeming mess of people and things on the pavement, there was this centre you went into. The Woolies there, though, was enormously disappointing because all they had were the clothing and some of the dry foods. So obviously they didn't trust their distribution system there to do the food. But for me, as I say, the model you want to emulate is not, you know, all the other clothing retailers. I can understand clothes. People like clothes and they like to sell clothes because, you know, they don't go off. You can leave them on the shelf for a couple of weeks. But for me, I don't know. I'd really prefer to see that. But I think they can do it. And I think that's why their model will be more South Africa oriented and less the rest of Africa, because to do the food in the rest of Africa is still going to be quite tough. So I don't know. I just think you've got to play to your strengths. But as far as it goes, I think the food is big enough. They've got enough distribution points. The clothes, people like the Treneries and Country Road stuff. It's better than the old Princess brand from before. Yeah. So I think it's fine. You can buy this one. It's hot.
What about the Massmart's food co could possibly take away market share from them? You
know, I mean, I've been into everybody else's food stores, even Pick n Pay, which we'll talk about in a minute, that one on William Nicol. And I can tell you, the cooked chickens are not as nice as the ones at Woolies. You cannot do that level of food unless you've got the price flexibility. So you've got to have premium prices and you get premium foods. People can taste the difference.
Indeed. Are you hot? Are you hot or not on Woolworths, Rob?
Right at these levels, I'm not hot. I do like the stock though, but I think on a pullback only, so no.
So no for you. Paul, I'm hot. Still hot on it.